Something absolutely wild just happened at Talladega, and most people don't even realize how big it really is. A YouTuber, someone the NASCAR world never expected to even belong at this level, came terrifyingly close to pulling off one of the biggest upsets in modern stock car racing. Yeah, it really got that close. Cleetus McFarland, a name usually tied to YouTube builds and high-energy drag racing chaos, suddenly found himself battling the biggest names in NASCAR for a Talladega win. And this is where it gets even crazier, because when Denny Hamlin saw what unfolded, he didn't just react, he broke it down in detail, and what he said has fans rethinking everything they know about Superspeedway racing. According to Hamlin, this wasn't luck, this wasn't a fluke, this was something much bigger. And if you want to understand how an outsider came this close to shaking the entire NASCAR field, make sure you watch this video till the very end. And if you enjoy deep NASCAR breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to NASCAR Nation News, because we bring you the stories behind the headlines, not just the headlines themselves. We're also pushing to reach 1,000 subscribers, so your support really matters. Hit that subscribe button and help us get there. Now let's get into what really happened. Talladega Superspeedway is known for chaos. Everyone expects the big one. Everyone expects unpredictability. But what nobody expected was Cleetus McFarland quietly putting himself in a position where he could actually win. And that's where this story starts to get serious. Because Denny Hamlin, one of the smartest, most analytical drivers in the garage, didn't laugh it off. He didn't dismiss it. Instead, he explained it. Hamlin pointed out something that most casual fans completely miss when they watch Superspeedway racing. At tracks like Talladega, raw experience doesn't always decide the outcome. It's about positioning. It's about timing. And more than anything, it's about understanding the draft. According to Hamlin, Cleetus did something that a lot of experienced drivers fail to do. He stayed in the right place at the right time. He didn't force moves. He didn't panic. He let the race come to him. And that's exactly how underdogs suddenly become contenders at tracks like this. Hamlin essentially exposed the reality of superspeedway racing. You don't always need to be the fastest car. You need to be the smartest car in the right moment. And Cleetus? He executed that perfectly. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Hamlin also hinted at something deeper, something that a lot of longtime NASCAR fans might not want to hear. He suggested that the current superspeedway package has leveled the playing field so much that someone without years of Cup experience can legitimately compete. Think about that for a second. A YouTuber stepping into one of the most unpredictable high-speed environments in motorsports, and not just surviving, but nearly winning. That's not supposed to happen. And yet, it almost did. Hamlin wasn't necessarily criticizing Cleetus, far from it. In fact, there was a level of respect in what he said. Because to put yourself in that position, you still have to make the right decisions. You still have to hold your line. You still have to manage the pressure of 190-plus mph pack racing. And Cleetus did all of that. But at the same time, Hamlin's breakdown raised a serious question. Has NASCAR become too dependent on randomness at superspeedways? Because when the margins are this thin, and the draft plays this big of a role, it creates opportunities for surprises. And this time, that surprise was Cleetus McFarland. Now let's talk about the moment that really shocked everyone. Coming into the closing laps, Cleetus wasn't just hanging around. He was there, right in the mix, right in contention. And for a brief moment, it looked like he might actually pull it off. You could feel it, the energy, the disbelief, the tension. Because if he made the right move at the right time, this wasn't just going to be a good story. This was going to be history. But as we've seen so many times at Talladega, everything can change in an instant. The draft shifts, the lanes collapse, one wrong push, one mistimed move, and it's over. And that's exactly where experience still matters. Even though Cleetus did almost everything right, the final execution at Talladega is brutally unforgiving. Hamlin explained that those last laps are where instincts, relationships between drivers, and split-second decisions take over. And that's where the advantage still leans towards seasoned NASCAR drivers. So while Cleetus got himself into position, closing the deal is a completely different challenge. And in the end, he came just short. But here's the thing most people are missing. This wasn't a failure. This was a statement. Because very few drivers, rookies, veterans, or otherwise, can say they put themselves in a position to win at Talladega like that. And Cleetus did it in a way that forced the entire NASCAR community to pay attention. Even Hamlin, especially Hamlin. Because when a driver like Denny Hamlin takes the time to break something down this deeply, it means it mattered. It means it wasn't just a random moment. It was something worth analyzing. And that brings us to the bigger picture. Cleetus McFarland didn't just almost win a race. He exposed how superspeedway racing really works in today's NASCAR. He showed that with the right strategy, patience, and positioning, the door is open wider than ever before. But he also showed just how hard it is to actually finish the job. Because getting to the front is one thing. Winning? That's something else entirely. So how did Cleetus actually finish the race? In the end, he didn't just come close, he finished second, just 0.111 seconds short of winning at Talladega. A literal photo finish. One move, one decision, one split-second difference, that's all that separated him from pulling off one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen. And when you realize how close that gap really is at 190 miles per hour, it makes this moment even crazier. Because this wasn't just almost winning, this was inches away from history. And now the conversation has changed. Fans are debating it, drivers are talking about it, and analysts like Hamlin are breaking it down piece by piece. Because moments like this don't just disappear. They shift perception. They challenge expectations, and sometimes they expose truths that people weren't ready to hear. And if you really look at this story on a deeper level, this wasn't just a race moment, it was a wake-up call for NASCAR and for the drivers. Because when an outsider can come this close, it means the nature of competition is changing. It's no longer just about experience, legacy, or big names. Now, every race has the potential for a surprise, and that's exactly why Denny Hamlin took this so seriously. Because he understands something most people don't. If it was Cleetus this time, next time it could be someone else. So the real question now is, was this just a one-time surprise, or is this a sign of where NASCAR is heading? Because if someone like Cleetus McFarland can come this close, who's next? And what does that mean for the future of the sport? That's the part nobody can ignore anymore.